Welcome back to the Mentor Me podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Hall, and today's episode is part 2 with Jeb Blount. If you didn't listen to part 1, I recommend going back to listen to that because it will help flow into this episode. But on this episode, we talk about the importance of social media and using that in your sales process, along with your email, along with phone, along with any other sales tools you use. We also talk about the importance of being a sales rep that brings value. If you and another sales person or company have a similar product, that means the only difference in the sales process is you and how much value you bring. So I hope you enjoy this episode with Jeb Blount. I want to talk to you a little bit about virtual selling too, or social selling. When I go on LinkedIn now, I feel like I get a couple messages a day from people who are wondering if maybe it's a recruiter or whoever. What do you recommend for social selling in terms of connecting with someone and maybe getting a meeting and just, a quick call with them?
Well, when you think about social media, social media wasn't built for direct, hard-nosed prospecting. It just wasn't built for that. It was built for nuance. So I can send an email to anybody and say you want to meet with me, and they may not like it, they'll delete it, but it's not going to get me blocked, mostly unless I'm just completely spamming them.
Yeah.
And it's usually not going to create the level of revulsion that you get in social media. So when I get people who, for example, they do the connect bait and switch, so they send me a connection request, and then I connect with them, and the very next thing is a pitch, the connection request bait and switch. I mean, the first thing I do is I just go dupe, and I take you out, I remove you as a connection.
Sure.
Sometimes if it's too blatant, I'll block you. And that's what people do on social media. Social media wasn't meant for in-your-face prospecting. And that's one of the things that, salespeople are doing is they're doing that, but they're turning everybody off in the process. What social media was built for was nuance. So it is almost a form of marketing, right? So you're out there, you're building your personal brand, people see you, they see your face, you're creating familiarity, right? And familiarity leads to liking, and liking gets people to engage, right? So the more familiar you are, the more likely they are to engage. That doesn't mean that I can't make a direct request for a meeting in LinkedIn or on Facebook Messenger or on Instagram. I can do that, but I have to earn it first. So social media takes a lot more time. It's a lot more effort. And somebody asked me the other day, do you ever get burned out? And I was thinking, yeah, I get burned out a lot. Like I get burned out like once every 2 months. I'm like, I hit a wall where I just can't do it anymore. And the number one reason for my burnout is social media, because I'm on social media all day long. And there's so much pressure to be there and to respond and to talk to people and to all those things.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that it's moving people off of social media into a one-to-one conversation. So a couple of things. I mean, one thing is just going to be consistent. So if you're going to be on social media, be consistent, be there all the time. That's probably the hardest thing to do, and that's what leads to at least my burnout, is trying to manage social media across all these different channels and be consistent.
Yeah.
And I fail at it a lot. You'll see me, if you watch my Instagram, you'll see like picture, and then I'm gone for a month, so it's terrible, but I get tired of it.
Yeah.
I think, so you want to do that. You also want to think, what are you doing to add value? So what type of content are you adding? How are you earning, reciprocity by liking and sharing and talking to other people? How are you doing that? And then when the time is right, they'll either contact you or you're going to contact them. But more than anything, do all those things and then pick up the phone and call them, which is what I do. And so when they hear my name, they go, oh yeah, I saw you on social media. I go, yeah, I saw you on LinkedIn. Let's get together. I thought I could help you. So I think you got to look at it as more of a nuanced process versus I'm doing these things and I'm going to get it. And listen, there's all that clickbait out there where someone says, oh yeah, I did this today and got 6 meetings on it today. People do that to you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, maybe you did today, but you didn't do it consistently over the course of a year. And you know why I know why? Because I have got more social media presence than pretty much most of the people that are saying those things, and it's work. And I don't get that kind of meetings. I get business from social media. Don't get me wrong. It is a big part of our, of our process, but it's one piece of a bigger picture.
Yeah.
So yes, you need to be on social media. There is no excuse not to be there. You definitely want a LinkedIn presence if you're in B2B sales. You want to make sure that you're paying attention to it. I wrote about this in Fanatical Prospecting, and I built this out, I think, deeper in virtual selling. So I've got I think there's 3 or 4 solid chapters on social media, but you don't need to overcomplicate it. You just need to be present, do things, be there, respond, create obligation, build your personal brand, those type of things. But if you think of social media as I'm on social media, therefore I get, like it's a quid pro quo, I think you're going to be terribly disappointed. And I think you're actually creating premeditated resentment for whom, I don't know, perhaps the social media channel there. But I also think that you have to understand that the social media sites, like they sell you. That's what they're doing. So when you're on there, they're selling your attention to someone else. That's the role. And the more you want to connect with people, the more they're going to want you to pay to connect with other people, because they sell attention, they sell connections. That's what their role is. So for salespeople, and you can even see this right now in the LinkedIn algorithms, because they've shifted again, and it's been a really, really rough shift. I mean, it was like you posted a video and you get 10,000 views or 20,000 views. When I was posting videos, when they first started running videos, I would get 100,000 views on a video. Today you're lucky if you get 2,000 views to look at it, and if people don't know you, you might get 10.
Yeah.
And so that's shifting big time. And to some extent, Instagram have shifted some of their video views. So they want people to be on Reels, and they want they want you to be on IGTV, and then they're competing with TikTok. And I don't even play on TikTok. I don't have enough room in my heart to go hang out on TikTok. So I think that for everyone, we just have to recognize that it's one way, and the social media platforms and their algorithms are in charge of that way. So if it's your livelihood, and there are people out there, this is what they do all the time. My buddy Daniel Disney, this is all he does. So he probably knows way more about it than anyone else does, but even he has to start following those shifts as they go so he can keep up with it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think that's a really good outlook on what social media is meant for, because I think a lot of people see it as another email. How can I spam these people with emails? And I've been trying to figure out, what is the best way to go about it. You see, I agree with you. Don't be a ghost on social media and then all of a sudden call somebody, but be able to build that relationship a little bit. Oh, they see Jeb Blount, they see him, they recognize his name. He's put out a video, he's liked your post, he's commented, and then you call and you say, and they say, oh, it's Jeb. I know who he is. I really like that. I want to hit on your book, People Buy You. I really think this is an interesting book. When I talked to Anthony, he always said, or he had mentioned to me, that the salesperson is the difference maker. It's not the pitch. It's not what you have. But what are some secrets that you have learned? Maybe not even secrets, but just things you have learned along your journey that have helped people buy into you.
Well, first of all, when it comes to Anthony Iannarino, I mean, just think about this. People like me more than they like Anthony, and they do, and that's true. And Anthony he'll admit that freely, because Anthony's my best friend.
Yeah.
So I talk to Anthony every single day. There's not a day that goes by the first person I texted this morning was Anthony. So, which makes my wife just crazy. It's because she said, you talk to Anthony more than you talk to me. So I just want everybody to know that. So I'm just teasing. But people do like me more than they like Anthony. It's just a fact. But Anthony's exactly right. You're the difference. So when we think about, let's think about virtual selling. The key with virtual selling is mastering every single communication channel to get a competitive edge. When I say mastering it, mastering the techniques, right? Mastering the technology, but mastering the communication skills. This is a great example. Now, the viewers can't see this. People listening to the podcast can't see this. But just this set that I'm on right now, there's a glass in front of me with your face on it. This is something that we worked very, very hard at doing, and it's not a cheap thing to do, and it's not an easy thing to do. But the reason why we did this is because if you notice, I'm making eye contact with you all the time.
Right.
The reason is because your eyes are literally in front of my camera. We work at this so that we're mastering the human side of this so that it feels like we're totally connected. And for me, I could be there right there with you. I mean, I feel connected with you because I can see you like if we were there. It just
Right.
feels that good, right? Makes sense? So when you start thinking about that, it's do people like you? And now it's not just likability, because likability is piece of it. They don't like you, they're not going to do business with you. But do they like you? Do they trust you? And do they believe that you're the human being that can solve their problems? And if it wasn't true, we wouldn't need salespeople. Think about it. If salespeople weren't the difference maker, everybody would just buy online. The reason that the company hired you is that they need someone to go out and create that emotional connection, to create that competitive edge, so that the person wants to buy from you more than they want to buy from your competitor's salesperson. That's it. So we go back to what I said earlier, the 5 questions that all the buyers and prospects are asking of you in every single interaction. Do I like you? Do you listen to me? Do you make me feel important? Do you get me and understand my problems? And do I trust and believe you to solve those problems? Think about it. It's just that simple. So if you're the salesperson who is internalizing those principles, if you're the salesperson who is mastering different communication channels, if you're the salesperson who understands that listening and asking questions is far more important than talking. Nobody cares what you have to say. People care that you listen to them.
Yeah.
If you do those things, suddenly people buy you. They buy you because they believe that you are the one person that can truly solve their problems. And by the way, they just want to do business with you because they like you.
Yeah. And I think that's huge too, because, you look at some industries and you might have a very, very similar product than somebody else. So in that situation, maybe there isn't that difference maker that's going to say, oh, well, you have that, so I'm going to buy it. Maybe there's not. Yeah. So it's got to be you. And being able to figure out their problems and relay them back to them, like you mentioned, I think listening is a huge thing. And I think that's what makes salespeople better than the ones that are pitching 24/7. Because you're right. No one wants to buy when they know they're getting pitched on something. It's like when my mom would always tell me to do something, I'd be like, no, I'm going to go do something else then.
That's right.
But, well, Jeb, before you go, I just want to hit on some fun lifestyle questions for you. Do you have a daily routine?
No.
Do you have it?
No, my wife would argue that I don't. I do. I have a daily routine. My daily routine it's really I only have a parlor routine. So when I wake up in the morning, I get up fairly early, not as early as Anthony. Anthony's up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm up a couple of hours later than that, sometimes 3 hours later than that. But I get up and my first hour of the day is social media. So I spend the first hour, a lot of it's just communicating with people who communicate with me.
Sure.
And I've got this insider group, so people can send me a direct text message, and we can communicate directly. So I get, every morning when I wake up, there's 5 or 10 questions. Hey, I'm going on an interview, or I'm working with a customer. I've got this problem, this problem, this problem, and so I'll text back to people and cover some of those questions.
Sure.
And then I go to LinkedIn, and has anybody sent me a note that I need to respond to, or has anybody posted something and tagged me in it? This is why I get burned out, right?
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll look. So that's usually the first hour of my day, and then so routine. And then I eat oatmeal with walnuts and bananas every single morning. I don't know why, but it fills me up. And it keeps me going until after lunch, and then I come into the office. If I'm traveling, it's different because I don't know where I'm going to be.
Sure.
But these days, because of virtual, I'm in the office and I get mic'd up. I walk through the door. I put a mic on. I put an ear thing on, and then we've got a studio complex here. So we have 5 studios here, and wherever we're shooting, that's where I am. And then the rest of my day is just complete and utter chaos.
I'm assuming this is a no based on what you just said, but do you journal at all or record any of your thoughts? I know you have a lot of books, so I know that's a form of, journaling your thoughts, but do you have anything specific outside of the books you write?
I would say 13 books is probably my journal. I don't.
I was going to
say. When I was in my 20s, I did a good bit of journaling, and I wrote down what I did every single day. I had a lot more time on my hands, so I still have some of those journals, and they're good stories of what happened. I should probably do it again, but I'm not in that habit. Journaling. I mean, if you want to see a journal, it's probably on Instagram with pictures of my little dog Wally and my horses and the other crap that I do. But I just I write a lot I write books, so most of my writing is in the pages of a book.
Sure. Have you had mentors along the way, along your journey? And if so, what are a couple of the best tips and lessons that you've gotten from those mentors?
I've had a lot of mentors. I've been very, very, very lucky. And most of my mentors have been leaders. So they've been people that I work for. And I've been lucky from Mary Gardner, who was my boss at Nutrisystem, to Bob Blackwell, one of one of the greatest sales managers I've ever worked for, Steve Donnelly, Chris Dodds. And I can, there's just so many people that I can name and talk about. Even my wife, who is in some cases is a mentor for me. But I've, the tips and tricks have been all in the moment. Like, so it hasn't been like some like profound thing. It's been the things that I learned along the way. When I was in my 20s, I was hot-headed and, bull in a china shop, and, it was easy for me to do damage in relationships because I'm just like, I'm so ambitious, I'm going to get what I'm done. And in my 50s, I'm hot-headed and I'm ambitious, and it's easy for me to destroy relationships because I'm so focused on what I'm going to do. So the only difference is that back then I wasn't aware of what I was doing, and today at least I'm aware of when I'm making mistakes. And that awareness is really the result of the mentors that I had that were kind enough, and sometimes to put a foot up my rear end to help me see that where I have mistakes, where I have problems, where I have opportunities to change. And that's essentially what a mentor does. I mean, a mentor. Yeah. They hold up a mirror and they show you the real you, right? And then in some cases they shine a light on the path that you should be taking. So that's I can't look back and say, there's these profound moments of change.
Sure.
It's more of a book of work that these mentors invested in me over time that made me a better human being. And I'm still a work in progress, although I am better than Anthony Iannarino in most things.
I can't wait to have you both on again, because I think if Anthony got another swing, I think he'd have some nice words for you too.
Well, he would, and the only reason that I'm able to say this is I know that he's already had his swing, so he missed, and so now I'm going all the way. So.
I love it. Well, I like what you said. I think it's so important, especially when you're younger. It's hard you don't know what you don't know. So, we always think we're doing the right thing, but when people can show you, like you mentioned, the mirror, it can sometimes hurt a little bit, but it's the most necessary thing for you to get better. So I think that's head on. I think you nailed it.
Well, awareness is the mother of change. So you can't change what you can't see. And if you think what you're doing is the right thing, why would you ever do anything else?
Right.
So what a mentor, a manager, a leader, a coach, what those folks can do is help you gain that awareness. Sometimes it's not easy, but help you gain that awareness so that you have the power to make change, or you have the power to be flexible or make adjustments in the way that you are walking your path through life.
Yeah. Well, Jeb, thank you so much for your time. Before you go, where can people find you on social media? I know that they can now text you as well. So if you want to plug that at all,
sure.
Find your books. And are you, is there a new book coming out soon?
Yeah. So let's do text messaging. So I will give you my text message. I got to look at it because I don't know my text message number. So let's go here. My text message number is 706-397-4599. That's 706-397-4599. And the reason that I set up this text message number, it's been really successful. I started doing this at the beginning of January of this year, but I did it because I was trying to have conversations with people on social media. And, there's trolls out there. So I'm in the middle of a conversation with someone who asked me something simple like, what do I do about this? And then I got 3 other people that are inserting their comments in, and then nobody wants to talk anymore because it's in public. So I just did it so people can connect with me. It is a double opt-in. And I won't spam you, I promise. And when you text me, you're texting me. So it's just me going back and forth with you. So I did that. You can catch me. I'm at Sells Gravy. And for all the people up north, there's no E in gravy. It's Sells Gravy. I'm at Sells Gravy on most networks. So on Twitter at Sells Gravy, Instagram at Sells Gravy, Facebook, my personal side of Facebook is /Sells Gravy, YouTube /Sells Gravy. You can also find my page on Facebook, if you type my name in, and then on LinkedIn, just type my name in, you'll find me there. And I'm not on TikTok. One of these days I'll grow up and get on TikTok, but I'll do it when all the old people get on, and then all the young people run to something else. And,
there you go.
And I gave up Snapchat a long time ago. That drove me nuts. So I'm on the majors, and then of course you can find me at salesgravy.com or jebblount.com.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Mentor Me podcast with Jeb Blount. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go give it a rating wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll see you soon.